It's Tim, Pickup Truck Plus SUV Talk, and today I'm in a 2023 Lexus RX 350 F Sport all-wheel drive. But what I'm doing is I'm doing a mile per gallon test because I'm kind of curious about this turbocharged engine in this, whether it actually achieves fuel economy of the EPA. And I want to answer the question that's been coming up a lot in the comments that says, no V6, no sale. And I'm seeing that a lot in different brands and in vehicles like the Toyota Tundra that dropped the V8, went to the V6. People said, well, I can't buy the V6, I have the V8. And the same thing happened here at Lexus. When we saw this last year, Jill and I saw this at Toyota's headquarters in Dallas. We did a comparison between this gen and the prior gen, and I'll link to that video above. We'll do a big walk around. But the big comment from that video was, you guys didn't talk about the V6. Obviously, that's a huge miss. And I'm like, is it really? This is an interesting question. So I want to just do this video just based on this question. And what's great about doing this video is I have this lane trace assist feature, which I'll show you in a minute, and that's basically helping me film and talk because it's keeping me in a lane. Semi-autonomous driving in a way. So what am I doing? Let's set the scene. It is currently 28 degrees this morning in March in western Nebraska. I'm driving about 40 miles south, 40 miles north. I figure about 80 miles is a pretty good round trip as far as getting fuel economy numbers. I'm in eco drive mode, and I'll show you this on the screen here in a minute. I'm in eco drive mode, and I'm on the interstate. Now, well, highway, I'm doing 75, 76 miles per hour, so obviously eco mode's not gonna help me with that. Eco mode does a lot more about transmission shift points and lessening throttle response, and it really does a lot better around town because it doesn't allow you to get off the line and burn the rubber. It actually lets you save fuel. In eco mode in the highway, it's just going to shift to the lowest gear it can, or the highest gear it can, 8th gear, and it's just going to try to get that gear as fast as possible and stay there. So minimal changes, highway driving, much better in the city. So, but that's what I got. And so currently I pulled up two stickers. I have a 2021 sticker I found online, and then I have a 2023 sticker as well. And I want to talk about a few key details on this vehicle. So if you remember, the 2023 Lexus RX 350 comes in a variety of powertrains. Looking at just a regular turbocharged engine, you have a hybrid engine. They're also doing a plug-in hybrid engine as well, and it comes in different flavors and varieties. It's really actually kind of confusing, and I covered that quite well in the first drive video, which I'll link to that one above as well. So I've done the first drive, we did a comparison with the 21 and 23, and so I'm be curious to see. Let's go ahead and talk more about this road trip. So right now it says my average fuel economy is 19.4 mile per gallon. So 19.4. In this Lexus 2023 Lexus, I'm supposed to get 21 city, 28 highway, and 24 combined. So 19.4 is not even close to those numbers. And I could stop and fill it up, and I could do the click test, but I can tell you that in my experience over the years of doing this, that the mile per gallon number on the computer is pretty darn close. Usually it's within maybe half mile per gallon, 1 mile per gallon. So even if I gave this Lexus a mile per gallon, let's say I gave it, instead of 19.4, I said, hey, you know, let's just call it 20.4. I'm still 20.4 versus 28 miles per gallon. I'm still 8 mile per gallon less. Like, that's a huge drop. And that's one of my complaints with small displacement turbocharged engines is, yes, they have more horsepower and torque output, when we get to that in a minute, and they feel faster, but getting real world fuel economy numbers out of these things has always been a challenge for me. And I'm at 3,000 feet. I'm currently driving back, driving downhill at the moment. Even though it's uphill, I'm doing this kind of deal. And 75 miles an hour, I'm actually just slowed down to 70. So, and that's the speed limit around here. With 70, 75, you know, I always go a little faster, but 70 is the speed limit, and it's still 19.4. So how does it compare to last year? So the last generation had 19 city, 26 highway, 22 combined. So I should be getting 2 mile per gallon better in this 2023 Lexus than I would have the prior generation Lexus. I don't think that's how it's working. That's not doing great. But let's talk about horsepower and torque. So the 2021 Lexus that had the 3.5 liter V6 engine, it was 295 horsepower at 6,300 RPMs and 267 foot-pounds of torque at 4,700 RPMs. So, and I have written down this other sheet what the 2023 is. So the 2023 is 371 horsepower and, 275 horsepower at 6,000 RPMs, and it's 317 foot-pounds of torque at 3,600 RPMs. So I threw a bunch of numbers at you. Let's break this down. So the 2023 has 275 horsepower versus the 2021, which has 295 horsepower. Now that sounds like a big difference, but it doesn't. It kind of mitigated because you get that max horsepower in the 2021 or later than you do 2023. So the older one reaches max horsepower at 6,300 RPMs. The 2023 hits max horsepower at 6,000 RPMs. So less horsepower, but you get to it faster in the 2023. So I could see that for most consumers behind the wheel, it's going to feel like a wash. What's not going to feel like a wash is going to be the torque. So in this engine, and it's a turbocharged engine, you get typically better torque, just the way the torque curve comes off these small displacement engines. So I have 317 foot-pounds of torque in the new one versus 267 foot-pounds of torque in the old one. Now you're saying, well, Tim, that's kind of the same idea, the horsepower and stuff. But again, it's the same idea of old versus new, because the new one reaches max torque at 3,600 RPMs. The older one reached max torque at 4,700 RPMs. So almost 1,100 RPMs difference. So that means off the line and in passing situations, you're going to feel like this is going to be more powerful than the prior generation. It's just because of the torque and because of the way torque curve. Oh, so there is, I keep beeping at me, there's a little sensor above the steering wheel, and I keep putting papers in front of it, and it's like, what are you doing? So fun fact, you can't read newspaper while you're doing this kind of stuff. Fun fact. So those are kind of the big differences there, is that, you know, this has an 8-speed automatic. The other one had 8-speed automatic. Both of those are the same. Both of these are all-wheel drive. So I don't have any differences there, but I can tell you that you'll feel, this one will feel faster, and it'll feel like it's more powerful than the prior generation. And one of the benefits of doing turbocharged engines versus the V6 is going to be your overall smog output, your CO2 output. So in this case, and it's really interesting. So I kind of put this on the screen here in a minute, but the new one puts out 371 grams of CO2 per mile, and it gets at number 5 on the fuel economy greenhouse gas rating out of 1 out of 10, and 10 is best. So the prior generation had 405 grams of CO2 per mile, and that was 4 out of 10. So this new one puts out less emissions than the prior generation did. Okay, smog rating is 7 on the new one, even better, and the older one had a 5 out of 10 smog rating. So smog's better, CO2 emissions are less, horsepower and torque are better in that you hit them at a lower RPM, and the fuel economy though is not, I don't know, I'm not gonna sit here and theorize. I got 40 miles or 30 miles to go. I'm not gonna sit here and assume that in 30 miles I'm gonna gain 8 miles per gallon. That's just not gonna happen. So yeah, I think it's really interesting what they've done here, and we've seen this in every brand. Every brand is going a small displacement turbocharged engine because better CO2 emissions output, better smog rating output, better horsepower and torque, and the torque curve is better, so people feel like it's faster and the vehicles are overall quicker. Now there's lots of arguments online about whether the CO2 emissions are real, whatever, that I don't really care, because that's what automakers are being judged on globally and the United States. That's the metric, and so they're trying to make these engines produce less emissions. And to do that, the best way to do that is to have a new engine that's basically built as a turbocharged engine. So you get less emissions because you have less displacement, you're putting out less exhaust because you're getting more performance out of a smaller engine. Yeah, so that's the dealio. Let's go ahead and show you the behind the wheel stuff while I'm still driving here, and I'll show you the eco mode and stuff like that. One thing to keep in mind is that I'm going to show you this best I can. The Lexus and Toyota infotainment systems have a weird refresh rate on their systems, and they always make the camera flicker a little bit. And it's weird because other brands don't do that. So I don't know what's going on with that. But hey, here we go. Okay, so this is behind the wheel. You can see there's a little green icon, and you can see the little thing for the eyeball, which is gonna get mad at me because I'm using the camera in front of my face. And then you can see here, probably flickering, but I'll get as close as I can. I'm in eco mode, and then if I were to do the trip information, you can see my trip details there. And it's really kind of a useless screen, in my opinion, because I don't know what 5, 10, 15 means. Maybe that's miles I've had, and I don't know what that means, what the now is. It's really kind of a confusing screen. I wish it was better. And 53 miles per hour average speed after start, and I've gone almost an hour. I've almost had an hour behind the wheel. So there you go. Now that's the head-up display. I'm going to see if I can't show it to you better inside the garage and show you, because this menu system here with the heads-up display actually works on the screen. So yeah, it's interesting. So you have to set cruise by pressing this button, and then you can see the different options, baby, on your screen. I'll show you a little more detail. But this is lane tracing assist. I have one hand on my steering wheel, and then what I'm gonna do is it's gonna drive itself. So well, look, Mom, no hands, right? So it's interesting. It'll drive itself basically, as long as I kind of keep my eyeballs forward. And then when we get in the canyon up here, I'll show you how it does the curves, because it is quite interesting. So it says, oh, lane tracing says not available at the moment because these roads aren't clearly marked, and that's the biggest thing. You have to have clearly marked roads, sunshine. You can't have any snow or ice that kind of build up for the system to work. And so yeah, it's doing its thing. So while it's doing its thing, here's the rest of the interior. We have the start-stop button up top. We have the HVAC controls there as well. And yep, it's beeping at me again. And then we have some camera views, park assist. Actually will park for you. And then we have some USB. I have a little hotspot charger down there, a little slide-in wireless charger. And then USBs. And then I have this shifter, which is more like a Prius shifter, I've been told. I don't drive Priuses very often. But you have to like go left and then back and forward to shift into gear. So it's a very interesting thing. And then I have different drive modes and downhill assist control. And then there is the rest of the interior. And it has the F Sport badging there. So interesting stuff. Okay, so we'll be right back. I want to show you what this lane tracing assist does in the Wildcat Hills, which is an area that's got some big curves. It's a canyon kind of, not a California canyon, a Nebraska kind of canyon hill. And then let's go ahead and get back to the house, and I'll talk to you about fuel economy. We'll wrap this up as far as what I'm going to get. Right now it's 19.5, so I've improved by 0.2, but still a long way to go. Okay, this is the canyon I was kind of talking about. Some traffic in front of me, but I'm going to try to hold the camera on the side. And again, very light pressure. And you're going to see as it gets this corner, it's going to turn for me. Lane centering assist. And yep, I have no hands on the steering wheel at the moment, so I'm looking forward because it's reading my eyeballs. And we'll get up to the top here, and there's going to be a sharp left-hand turn, sharp-ish left-hand turn, I should say. See this? It's going to. Yep. So let's see what it does. So it's turning. It's Yep. So it's slowing down too. By the way, it's slowing down. The symbol is like it's a windy road, right? Slowing down and turning, and it's probably slowing down a little bit too because of the vehicle in front of me. But yeah, it just did that whole turn by itself. Hands over here, eyeballs on the road. I am kind of, my hand is right here at the ready. I'm right at the ready. There's just, I'm not like gonna play with my cats in the back or something like that. It's not a Tesla. It's not that stuff. I'm hands at the ready. I'm paying attention. And we're gonna go down, which is always a little bit more of an interesting challenge because you're kind of going down, you're kind of turning as you go down. Brakes are applied. I can feel the brakes kicking in. I can feel the turn happening. You can see the icon on the screen. It's a wavy road coming down here, and this is the sharper turn at the bottom. As we go down here. Yeah, here it is right down here. So this is Wildcat Hills, by the way. Western Nebraska. Nebraska, turns out it's not all flat. There's your PSA for the day, public service announcement. So coming down here, we're going to slow down. And this is the, yeah, so it slows down, but then it does make the turn. Again, no hands. It's doing it, but it is interesting. First time I did it, I grabbed hold and I was like, what the heck? And but it does it just fine. Okay, back at the house, I just opened the garage door, put it in park, and there's that flashing screen. It's kind of weird. But what you have to do is you have to go left, that goes neutral, and then you can go forward or back. I'm gonna go forward for drive, back for reverse. It's a double tap for reverse. Yeah, it's confusing, but I do have some decent cameras, which if I zoom in closely, you can see them better. They don't flicker so bad. And it does show it shows transparent mode. So as I'm driving forward, it takes a picture of what's in front of me, then it shows me what I'm driving over, which is kind of a cool party trick, if you will. You can see the sensors are popping in as I get into the garage. Yep, there they go. Okay, it says stop. You've gone too far. Put it in park. Okay, so back to the screen saying all doors are tied to the shifter. So I have 19.9 miles per gallon. That is my best fuel economy, and you see I did an hour, almost hour and a half driving, and I reset the trip gauge one, so 77.8 miles. So 77.8 miles, and yeah, and this chart, like I got 60, then I got 20, and I got 10. I understand the idea of showing the chart, that kind of stuff, but it could be better. And this is nighttime mode as well, the darker color, which when I had the Tundra, I used that dark color all the time because I preferred that better. Okay, so what do we got? What did we learn? We learned that the fuel economy doesn't come in close to matching EPA numbers, and it's not a surprise. Like I said, most of the small displacement engines have a really hard time getting fuel economy numbers, and all the vehicles that drive. This is not a Lexus only issue. However, we did learn that horsepower and torque are much better at a lower RPM, so this will feel faster. We are emitting less CO2 emissions, and we do have a better smog rating. So kind of some back and forth on that. I can tell you the seats are fairly comfortable on the drive. I still want to break them in a little bit more. And driving position was pretty good. I can have lots of visibility, and I can see around me really well. And what's nice is this screen on the Lexus is down lower. Some of the Toyota vehicles and some of the Lexus vehicles, the screens are up higher, and I don't like it. I want to have a dash that's flat so I can see around stuff. That's my personal 2 cents on that. But comfortable drive, smooth, pretty quiet. I just had an early morning drive, got up and just did it. So no complaints there at all. I do find that, I'll be honest, every generation of Lexus RX, I find that I like it less. There's a sweet spot back in like 2008 or something. It just seemed like they did really well with that Lexus. This one is very kind of tech focused. With the heads-up display, and I kind of showed it to you on the screen best I could. Heads-up display and the doors are interesting. You have to press a handle to exit the vehicle. You have to just grab the handle. It doesn't open. Doesn't have a manual kind of open on the outside. Just press it open. So what I mean by that is most door handles, when you go like this, the handle comes off. This one you just put it in and just pull. So it's just a little different. So it's very, very tech kind of focused, much different customer than I'm used to having. I think there is a steeper learning curve with this versus prior generations with all tech going on. And yeah, like I said, if you're looking for fuel economy, this is not better fuel economy. It's better performance, but I don't think fuel economy is that much better at all. And I'd like to know what the other owners are getting. So put comments down below if you have an older RX 350, because I believe the ones I've done in the past, I've gotten well over 20, and this one's just barely at 19.9. Kind of disappointment there. So what do you guys think? No V6, no sale. Are the improvements better enough to offset that loss of V6? Where are you at with that? Put your comments down below. Check out videos over here. Website down below as well. Pickuptrucktalk.com. Go and check that out. Lots of good stuff over there. As always, thanks for watching. I will see you down the road.